Chicago Restaurant Week's coming up January 19th through February 4th. Dominique Leach, Chef Dominique Leach, owner of Lexington Betty Smokehouse, and won the BBQ Brawl Season 4. Dominique, I know you only from afar, but you don't seem the brawling type. Did it get ugly?
It got ugly. Got real ugly. Fortunately, I left without bruises and a champion.
Now, what do you get? Do you get a trophy?
You get bragging rights.
Well, that's pretty good.
Bunch of rights to talk about being the best, but I keep it humble. It was great to win and ultimately to represent the city.
And you get a cool title, the Master of Q, which I think is so cool.
Master of Q.
Master of Q, that's you. I want to talk a little bit, too, about the BBQ Brawl, because you're the celebrity chef you were teamed up with was Bobby Flay. Was it intimidating or encouraging to work with him?
It was really encouraging. No ounce of intimidation at all. He is super personable, and I like to believe he took a liking to me. He was constantly reminding me of how lucky Chicago is to have me, and, just noticing my skill level and thinking, like, wow, where have you been?
Mm-hmm.
So for those who haven't made it to your place yet, sell it. Why are we coming to you?
So Lexington Betty Smokehouse is on the south side in the historic Pullman neighborhood, and it is a Chicago staple, and it has to be visited because it's super delicious. It has a beautiful narrative around it, and my wife and I have been just working so hard and just trying to be the difference on the South Side. A lot of times there's a stigma around the service industry on the South Side. I like to say there's two different ones. There's the food industry, and then there is the South Side food scene. And a lot of times they're very separated, and I've made it a priority to bridge the gap because a special place like Lexington Betty Smokehouse should be mentioned amongst some of the best restaurants in Chicago.
It should be. And, one of the things I love about you and your story, you have worked at some great places, Spiaggia. You have a great resume. You started your concept really as a food truck, but your stick-to-itiveness when, this is not my hobby. This is my career. And that's, kind of your foundation. And that's inspiring for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know it's a lot easier to quit at times. And we have been faced with some obstacles over the years. But I chose to continue to be optimistic. I do it because I love it, not because there's a lot of money in the business, but it's what drives me. When I decided to become a chef and go to culinary school, I thought about what would make me, excited to get up every morning and, be assertive. And cooking has always been that. And so I'm rich because of that and because I'm happy at what I do.
Who taught you how to cook?
Come
on, I love a story. Make it up if it's not true. I want to hear about your grandmother or somebody who took you by the side and said, it's a pinch of this. Don't worry about measuring. Give me a story.
Well, it would be my grandmother. She is from Lexington, Mississippi, and she would come visit us whenever she could, and she was always so concerned about what we were eating when she wasn't in town because my mom was not much of a cook. She would make things out of convenience, hamburger helper. Sometimes my mother made a habit out of making a meat and just letting us figure out what the side would be.
Okay.
So my grandmother would come to town and she would just own the place. She would take over the kitchen. And there were times I would sit and watch her just throw a bunch of stuff in a pot that I didn't think or wouldn't imagine would make sense. And then it will eventually light the house up. And there was this anticipation being built over just sitting down and trying it for the first time. I remember that vaguely when she made oxtail soup. I didn't know what oxtail was. I wasn't familiar with the flavor profile. And it was the aromas, with bay leaves in the pot stewing. I had never smelled that before. And when I tried it, it just opened up my imagination to all the beautiful things that can come from, just throwing a bunch of ingredients together in a stock pot.
Also opened up your nostrils.
Absolutely.
Is she Lexington Betty?
Yes, absolutely. Betty King from Lexington, Mississippi.
What a nice legacy that is.
That's a great story.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I thought about it, I sat and thought about the name. I said it has to have something with purpose, something with substance, something that adds to me, having a responsibility of just like getting up and being assertive every day. And it made all the sense in the world to put her name in the title.
I believe great chefs are artists, and art is identified early in life. And if you've got a kid that takes a shine to cooking, encourage it.
Sure.
Yep, it'll make a bigger mess. And yep, you're going to have patience, but you're going to encourage a lifetime of being able to feed and take care of themselves, but you might just encourage a career. And
yeah, absolutely. I believe that as well.
When we get closer to Restaurant Week, we'll hit these more, but there's a couple of charities I know you do good work for Pilot Light and the James Beard Foundation Scholarship Program. You could Google up either of those and donate. And your first Bites Bash sold out. Congratulations. That's a couple.
Thank you.
What is that, next
Woo.
Thursday, so you'll be killing it at the Field Museum. What's the best thing you make at the restaurant?
The best thing we make at the restaurant, well, a Chicago staple that we make are our rib tips. We have some of the best rib tips that you're going to find, not just in Chicago, but in this country. They are delicious. They're unique. They're so meaty. Anybody that has like a negative idea of rib tips being gristly and fatty, when you come to Lexington Betty Smokehouse, throw that completely out the window.
And we can go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and your secret for rib tips in 30 seconds or less?
My secret to rib tips is our spice rub mix. It's a super simple mix. It's actually called TT seasoning. We sell it at the restaurant and at a few grocery stores. And it's just it is like my culture in a bottle. It is how I grew up cooking at home. The spice mix, and it's been so great that the city's been so receptive to it. And it's my secret. It's our flavor profile. It's what reminds me of barbecuing in Humboldt Park as a kid. Okay. It's nostalgia. It's Chicago.
And Lexington Betty's is part of Restaurant Week, so we should go to the restaurant, try it out, become regulars, and also pick up some of that fabulous product.
Yes, absolutely. The barbecue sauce and Wagyu beef franks and andouille sausage are also available. They're also a part of the Restaurant Week menu with, just little tasting portions of the retail items in the Restaurant Week menu being offered.
We appreciate you coming on. We know it's not a good time for a chef to be awake and conscious and all that, but we know how busy you are. So place to go for the restaurant. You want people to check it out, go to the website. Where do you send them?
Yeah, check out our website, lexingtonbetty.com. You can also visit our social media pages and my personal page, Chef Dominique, where we do a lot of cool content, and we'll be certainly celebrating Restaurant Week and highlighting all the wonderful things about First Bites Bash, where I'll be the host chef. And it's a sold-out event, so if you don't have tickets, you can definitely join us next year, but it's my first year, and I'm super excited.
Should be excited.
Love the Field Museum, and it's going to be a great time. Pilot Light, James Beard Foundation, we're going to represent both of those well, and especially True Chicago. And thank you, True Chicago, for the Restaurant Week and all the wonderful things you do for this.
That's great.
City.
Congratulations.
Keep the doors open at the field. If you don't have tickets, just stand outside and smell.
Yep.
There you go.
Dominique, you're a good granddaughter. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Chef.
Thanks so much, Steve. Thank you.
See you later.